Kathleen Mills,
Here.
Les Coyne,
Here.
Israel Herrera.
Here.
Okay, so I'll call to order the April 28th meeting of the Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners, and obviously we're over Zoom and Facebook Live this time. We can still take comments from the public that can be emailed in to Paula, to your email address. Is that correct? Okay. To Paula McDevitt's email address if you have any comments to make. And we'll go ahead and move into the consent calendar, which includes the minutes from the March meeting, the claims submitted, non-reverting budget amendments, business report, and there's no surplus this time. So Les, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I so move.
Yeah,
All right.
a second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, so the consent calendar motion carries unanimously. And then for the public hearings and appearances, we do already have a comment that I'm going to read from Muddy Fork Bakery. Let me just pull that up here. So from Eric and Katie of Muddy Fork Bakery, says, we support the changes to the food and beverage artisan vending contract and ask the board to approve the addendum. We appreciate that the concerns of FBA vendors, most of whom have been hit hard by the pandemic, have been heard, and are thankful that park staff is recommending a fee on FBA vendors equal to that of farm vendors for the months of May and June. We also appreciate the work of the market staff in quickly adapting to the needs of this extraordinary time and setting up an online platform to allow the market to continue in a way that keeps vendors and customers as safe as possible while keeping open the vitally important local food supply chain. And says, thanks, Eric. So, okay. Uh-oh, I'm lost for a second. Let me get back in here. All right, sorry, bear with me. I went over to read that and left you all for a minute. All right, there we go. All right, and then are there any other public comments that you've received that we should read, Paula? Or?
No, there's not. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so then moving on, we have a Parks Partner Award with IU School of Optometry. If Sarah Owen is in the meeting. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Sarah Owen, Community Relations Coordinator. As Kathleen said, we are wanting to recognize IU School of Optometry with our Parks Partner Award this month. And the Parks Partner Award recognizes the department's most outstanding collaborators and supporters. The reason we wanted to recognize IU School of Optometry is that for the last 6 years, they have been the title sponsor of our annual Children's Expo. Unfortunately, of course, due to recent circumstances, we had to reschedule the expo for later this year for early November. It's typically held in late March, and this will be the 7th year that they will serve as title sponsor. The Children's Expo is an annual event that has been held in some iteration for the better part of 2 decades, and we have hundreds attend every year. It offers health screenings, camp registrations, youth sports organizations. It's a one-stop shop for families in Bloomington to find resources for their young children. So we are so honored to work with the IU School of Optometry, who do offer free vision screenings at the expo, and we are very grateful for their support. So we have with us Dr. Katie Connolly, who is our contact with the IU School, and so I'd like to turn it over to her for a brief statement. Dr. Connolly?
Yes, I just wanted to say a quick thank you for the recognition. I'm here on behalf of the IU School of Optometry as well as the Atwater Eye Care Center. We really enjoy working with your organization. It provides a lot of good opportunities for not only the children in the community, but also our student population. It gives them a great exposure and opportunity to work with children in the community. And we really look forward to post-COVID having the opportunity to work with the public again and hopefully help children the best that we can. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your support and participation. That means a lot.
yeah, a lot of important work. I know that you also go to the schools and do this with children, and that's so great.
Yes, absolutely. We do lots of vision screenings around the community. I'm spent the last week or so kind of thinking and brainstorming how we're going to pull that off this fall, given what we're dealing with. But
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and then we'll move into the other business. We have a lot of things on the agenda because many important things sort of got pushed off last month when we were in the beginnings of all of this chaos.
Right,
So we have a
Kathleen.
lot of important partnership agreements and contracts. So we'll start with D-Tuttle has the partnership with Bloomington Junior League Baseball Association.
Right, Kathleen. Before
Yes.
that, can
Yeah.
I just add something?
Sure, yes, certainly.
I would like also to congratulate Paula and the department because they also received an important recognition.
Yeah.
So I am very honored to work with the department, and this recognition coming from the Department of Tourism. Paula, was that the
Right, it's the IU School of Public Health, the Recreation Park and Tourism Studies Department gave us a recognition of Community Partner of the Year, which we were quite honored and pleased to accept.
congratulations?
Congratulations. Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Israel.
And then I'd also like to jump in on the awards part that it was just brought to my attention late last week that Ivy Tech recognized our Kid City Camp as a Community Partner of the Year award as well. So a lot of these awards are being handed out this time of year via email and recognition, but we're very pleased to receive that award as well. And Amy Shrake was a major part of the work that we do there with Kid City and that recognition.
That's excellent. That's great. And how many years of Kid City now? 20?
Just Amy will jump in here, but I think we just finished our 26th. This will be our 27th, whatever that looks like this year. But
Okay.
yes.
All right.
This was the brainstorm of Tommy Ellison, who had talked to some preschool people and really got enthusiastic about this and made it happen.
That's excellent. Yes, it's been a very important part of the community. And as Paula said, in whatever format that ends up being possibly this summer. So. All right. Excellent. And now we have Junior League Baseball with D-Tuttle.
Ready? I'm Dee Tuttle, Sports Facility Manager, and today I am seeking approval for three longstanding partnerships at the Winslow Sports Complex. The first partnership is with the Bloomington Junior League Baseball Association, and they provide recreational baseball for children ages 5 through 12. This program usually serves over 400 players. Practices and games are conducted at Winslow Sports Park, as well as Bryan Park 1 and Bryan Park 2. This year, they are planning on beginning play in June and ending in October, and they will be playing Monday through Thursday, and the projected revenue is $35,000.
Okay. And they usually start earlier than this, Dee, and they're going to try to start in June. Is that?
Yeah, that's correct. Usually they will start practice, honestly, as soon as we can get on the fields, and it's usually the last week of March, and then their game schedule would have started last Saturday with their jamboree. So we're going to push that back and hope for the best.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If we have a motion to approve the partnership with Bloomington Junior League Baseball Association.
It's my pleasure to so move.
I second.
Right. And any public comment or question? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion.
Aye.
motion unanimously carried. All right, and then D has the Senior League Baseball Association, which I think is the same except for an older group, if I'm right.
That is correct. The Monroe County Senior League Baseball Association, they provide recreational baseball for kids ages 13 through 19. They play on the senior side at Winslow Sports Park. They have their practices. They hold their practices and their games at this facility. They play Monday through Thursday. And this year they're hoping to start in May, even though I'm not sure that will happen. But we certainly will try to get the league in, even if we have to start it in June. There are usually approximately 70 players that participate in this league.
Okay. All right, great. And any questions from board members about that, or?
Yeah, quickly. D, they've expanded their membership just a bit, if I recall. Is that correct? I hope so.
Yes, the Senior League did expand their age range up to age 19 to hopefully pull in a few of those high school students that did not play high school ball into their organization and increase their numbers a bit. But the majority of their numbers definitely lie in the 13 and 14-year-olds.
Right. Okay. That's all for me.
Okay. All right. Are we ready for a motion for this one?
Again, it's my pleasure to move the approval for the Monroe County Senior League Baseball Association.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion carried unanimously. All right. And finally, D has the concessions agreement for Winslow.
Yes, the final agreement is with the concession stand on the north side at Winslow Sports Park. And the Bloomington Junior League Baseball Association wishes to operate this concession stand, which is owned by the City of Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department. And they use the profits from the sales to offset program costs and other related expenditures.
Okay. And this is also a long-standing agreement
Yes,
at Winslow.
it is.
Yeah.
There is.
Okay. Any questions about the Winslow concessions?
No.
No question.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion for approval of this one?
So moved.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Motion unanimously carried. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you.
And then Amy Schrick has the partnership agreement, speaking of, with Ivy Tech Community College.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm here to seek approval. Amy Schrick, Program Facility Inclusive Coordinator. And the first partnership I have today is with Ivy Tech, and staff recommends approval of a partnership agreement with Ivy Tech. This is our 12th summer with this partnership, and we do we partner with the Center for Lifelong Learning to offer full-day camp programs for their Ivy Arts for Kids and College for Kids programs that are half day. So they spend half day with Ivy Tech and then half day with Kids City. It's been a very successful partnership. And so we focus at Kids City on doing recreation and activities. And at Ivy Arts, they do either classes at Ivy Tech, such as robotics or cooking, or art classes at the Waldron. And the revenue expected based on last year's was going to be $16,400. I expect that'll be a little bit different with not knowing exactly what camp will look like this year, but I think we've been in contact weekly with them trying to figure out what this summer will look like and how we can serve our families. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
No, I just appreciate you mentioning that you've been in contact with them. I've had quite a few families with younger children asked me in the last week, what's going to happen with the camps? So yeah, I'm sure it's really hard to tell day by day. So
It is.
All right, Les and Israel, any other questions or comments?
None.
This is the 12th summer.
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And
No
I,
question.
sorry.
No more questions.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks. Yes. And so Les, if we have a motion on this one, please.
I so move.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. That motion's unanimously carried. And next, Amy will also tell us about the agreement with the Lake Monroe Sailing Association.
So we've been partnering with the Lake Monroe Sailing Association to offer a couple of different programs. One is an adult sailing program that includes group or private lessons, and then also they offer a youth sailing camp. This is partnership's been going on since 1996, so very long-standing, well before my time with the department. And their camp runs 8 weeks, and their adult program runs from the summer into the fall. Based on previous revenues, we anticipated it would be about $70,000. Again, not sure about those exact numbers, but we have been in contact with them as well, just trying to, communicate with people that are signing up and what have you, to make sure everybody's up to date on all of the current information that we have on programming. It's been a very successful partnership. We run registration and they do all of the programming. And I think we do a little bit of marketing. It's in the program guide, and then we make a flyer for them. So pretty easy peasy, well-oiled machine, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one question, Amy. Do you know if any of the foundation scholarships are used for youngsters participating in this program?
That's a great question. Les, I don't know. I could certainly find out from Tiffany. The way I can access the rosters, I don't know how to tell whether folks are utilizing the scholarship program or not, but I'd be happy to find that out.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Thanks.
Uh-huh.
Amy, I have a question of Paula as well. So the registration of 36 is for both the beginner participants and the ones with advanced skills. Is a flat fee, or is there any other fee?
So the $36 is the part of the registration fee that the Parks Department retains. It's a larger cost, which I can't recall off the top of my head. It's different for camp and for the adult programs, but and then of that, I think it's like $250 for the camp, and then we keep $36 of it to cover the administrative fees of us running the registration. So it is a flat fee, but the $36 is just the portion of the fee that we keep, if that makes sense.
So the 36 will be from both?
It's the flat fee that we take no matter what the program costs. Yeah. Anything?
So for this summer, it says 8 weeks during summer.
Uh-huh.
What would be the plans for this summer?
Well, I would probably leave it up to them with what they would feel safe with doing. I would guess they would limit the number of people on the boats to be less than what they normally would allow. But being a person that doesn't sail, I couldn't speak too much to the actual program, but we're definitely all going to follow whatever the governor's guidelines are telling us to do, and however that looks like, so we can be safe.
Amy, it would probably be a good idea to check with them and get a report on just how they're going to handle that.
Sure.
Israel raises a good question. Another thing, too, is they've had a pretty high staff ratio to students, particularly the youngsters, in the past. We've monitored that fairly closely. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to poll them on how they're going to handle this.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if it's as it has been in the past, they use these little sunfish sailboats that don't hold that many people anyway. So it might be that they can adapt with the boats. So, but yes, good questions. So
it would be better. Yeah, I second that suggestion about checking about the program during summer. If we are approving this, at least to have a any update of potential plans for the summer.
And I'd like just to jump in here too. I just got the information that in the past, to answer Les's question, we have had participants in the past access the Parks Foundation Scholarship Program to get funding to assist with the registration for this sailing camp.
Okay, good.
okay, all right, good information. And Les, do you want to move approval of this one?
I'm happy to move approval for the Lake Monroe Sailing Association agreement.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is unanimously carried, and then we move on to Amy also has the partnership agreement with Special Olympics Monroe County.
The Special Olympics, Indiana, Monroe County, and Bloomington Parks and Recreation have been partnering since 2006. We assist with marketing and give them a hotline and help them with facilities as we can. And then it's a volunteer run operation outside of that. And a little history, we used to operate Special Olympics out of the Parks Department, and we ran into a lot of difficulty. The state model is a volunteer operation, and so being city employees, we were having paid staff and some other things that doesn't really fit. So in 2006, we transitioned into this partnership, and it's really allowed the program to blossom, and they've added many sports that we weren't able to facilitate. They do horseback riding and various other things that were not able to be implemented under our umbrella. So it's really been a positive partnership for both of us. And then we get to give them a little bit of assistance and still be involved in that way. It's not a revenue generator at all, but it's a good partnership, and it's a good thing we do to the community to support sports for the community members with disabilities who are 8 and older. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just a quick one. Amy, this transition, I remember, occurred when we added a special person to be knowledgeable and to consult with all the programs in the department. And I think you're sitting there as proof of that, that it works. So I just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you.
Amy, I have a question regarding the sports. So, are there team sports or just individual sports?
They
and
do.
the other thing, is
Sorry.
this just individually open for community members, or is there any kind of alliance or work with organizations here in Bloomington?
It is both team and individual sports. They do basketball and softball that are team, and they have a golf program that's what's called Unified. And in that program, they partner a participant with a disability with a typical person, and they play golf together as a team in that fashion. And then there's individual sports that are like bowling and I think they do. And then the horseback riding is also an individual sport as well. And then they work with some of the other programs in town that specifically do sports for people with disabilities. Like there's a baseball buddy ball program, and I can't remember what the name of it, but there's a soccer program and a couple of other adapted programs that they work with. So they work with us and then other community organizations as well. They also partner a lot with the schools for other facilities that we don't have. Did I get it all?
Yes.
Okay, all right. If we don't have any other questions or comments, then Les will take a motion on this one.
Yes, I'll so move.
I second.
All right, and any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, unanimously carried. All right, thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Emmy.
Next up, we have Crystal Ritter with the contract with King Snake Sounds.
Yeah, hello. This is Crystal Ritter, Community Events Coordinator. I am here this evening to recommend the approval of the contract with King Snake Sound Company for sound engineering services and equipment rental for various community events that will be held in, or hopefully held in the 2020 calendar year. This sound engineering services are used for several of our larger events and more technically complicated events, including the Bloomington Street Fair, the Summer Kickoff Celebration, the Bloomington Symphony Orchestra concert, the pumpkin launch that's held at the fairgrounds in the fall, and the holiday market. Some of these events have, well, one event of these events has been canceled for this year, and some of them are still kind of up in the air at this point, but we want to go ahead and put this contract through so that we are ready to move forward with events if we can in some way for 2020. We also built into this contract for this year some additional funding, around $375 for repair work. Some of our sound equipment is aging a bit and more repair work is being needed on it. So we wanted to build that into the contract for this year as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So Crystal, do we, if like going forward, some of these things are to be canceled, do we have adjustments we can make to the contract? Is this a per event fee or a flat fee, or?
It is a per event flat fee, so we can make adjustments to this contract as needed. We are also exploring live streaming concerts potentially. So if we go that realm, King Snake Sound Company might also be able to assist us in that as well.
Okay.
So there is the possibility that this contract could be amended this year.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
So, Crystal, what's the date for the kickoff?
The name of what? I'm sorry, Israel.
For the summer kickoff.
The date for the summer kickoff is it's Friday, May 22nd at this point. It was meant to be an end of school celebration. We are going to make a decision on that event probably by the end of this week.
Mhm. And for the breakdown, the 975 is for, because I see two figures, 325, and then there is an amount of 975.
Yes, so the 975, there are 3 different events that are being paid for out of that account line. So we pay King Snake Sound Company a flat fee of $325 per event. So that 975 that is coming out of that first account line that is listed, that is for 3 events that would be paid for out of that account line.
No more
Ready for a
questions from
motion?
me, Captain.
Okay, all right. So yeah, if there are no more questions, comments, Les, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I move approval for the contract with King Snake Sounds.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, that motion is carried unanimously. And then Crystal Ritter will also tell us about the partnership agreement with Ryder Films.
Yeah, so I am here this evening to recommend the approval of the partnership agreement with the Ryder Film Series and Magazine to obtain the movie licenses for our 2020 Movies in the Park season. The Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department acquires sponsorship funding to help pay for the licenses to show the films throughout the summer. And the Ryder helps us by acquiring these movie licenses so that we can show them this summer. They also help us by providing monthly advertising in the Ryder magazine, and also a thank you page to thank all of our sponsors who have supported the program for the season. All of this money goes into and comes out of the account line that is listed on the staff report. This is a long-standing partnership agreement. We have partnered with the Ryder for well over 20 years to bring free movies to the community throughout the summer. We hope to bring 6 movies this summer. They will be in 4 different parks: Bryan Park Pool, Alcott Park, and Switchyard Park are the parks that we are hoping to have movies at this year. And of course, as with all of our events, this is, everything's kind of tentative at this point, and we're going to hope to have events as we can for this year. The full contract or the full partnership amount for this partnership is not to exceed $1,800.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. And any comments or questions from Les or Israel?
I have a question, Krista.
Yeah.
So there are 6 films, right?
Yes.
That's the plan. Is there any knowledge about the diversity of these films or the audience for these films? Do you have any information about this, or?
I'm sorry, Israel, was your question what the films are?
Yeah, and if it includes audience and also diversity, or that would be just one single topic, or?
I'm sorry, Israel. Can you repeat that one more time? I'm going to turn up the volume.
Do you have any information about the films?
Yeah. So the movies that we are planning to show this summer, the first one would actually correspond with the May 22nd summer kickoff celebration. At that movie, we would be showing The Princess Bride. We are also planning this summer to show Toy Story 4 at the pool. We would be showing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and that would be in conjunction with National Hispanic Heritage Month, which we are partnering with Community and Family Resources on to bring a special event with dancing and food at that movie. We are also planning on showing Young Frankenstein this summer, as well as Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And the 2019 version of Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
So predominantly kid and family focused movies, but a couple in there that are geared more towards adults.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
Okay. I usually abstain on this vote since the writer director is in the other room in here listening to an Audible book. So I'm gonna have to, I'll call for the motion and then I won't vote on this one. So Les, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I'll move approval, and you officially abstain, and then we carry the motion.
Okay.
That's the way we want to go.
I second.
All right. And all those in favor, please say
Well,
aye.
the record shows you abstained,
Yes.
and so I vote aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have one abstention, 2 ayes for the Writer Film Series Partnership Agreement. All right.
Thank
Kathleen,
you.
Can
Thank
I raise a
you.
question? Do we have any of the Rundell Ernstberger people that are going to be involved in this video Zoom? Dave? If so, I was going to
Les?
suggest, yeah.
They're here and they are muted and video is off. They know where they are in the agenda, and see, there's Kevin. I briefed them yesterday that we have all these agenda items and they were fine with that, so.
Okay, I was just going to suggest maybe we move those 2 up and let them clear, but no, I just, whatever, doesn't matter. If they're okay, then that's fine.
Okay. All right, so moving on, we have 2 items from Eric Pearson. Hi, Eric. First up is the Banneker Community Center Advisory Council bylaws and guidelines.
Hi, Eric Pearson, Program Facility Coordinator at the Banneker Community Center. We are here to seek approval of the bylaws for the newly restructured Banneker Community Center Advisory Council. So late 2019, we worked to kind of retool this group and added a whole host of new members. And for March of this month or this year, we worked with those members and our staff to update the bylaws, and that's what you have before you here for approval. So happy to answer any questions you may have on that.
None.
Eric, do you want to just tell us a bit about new members, or about, who is on the advisory council?
Sure. So we worked really hard to get a diverse background of different people. So we have representatives who have been parents of participants who have been in Banneker programs. We have representatives of the Near West Side neighborhood. We have a few different individuals that work in the IU community. So we try to have a very diverse group of people that come from varying backgrounds, and the way we've kind of structured it, it's to be a minimum of 12 voting members. So we're looking to add whoever we need to, or wherever the opportunities present themselves, but we're very comfortable and happy with the group so far, and we're pleased with the collaboration that they provide us with as we pursue different grants and policy updates for the facility.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Eric?
So, Eric, there are 12 members, you're saying?
Yeah, there's a minimum of 12. Right now, I believe we're at that number or just shy. But we're always willing to reach out to and talk with potential new members.
And could you tell us about the diversity? Are there Latino members in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we have a majority of members who are African American. We do not have a Latino representative at the moment. that's certainly something we can pursue moving forward. But the goal of this group is to match the diversity of Banneker Community Center participants and families that we serve. And so that's something we will continually work to achieve as we move forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Eric. Any other comments or questions? All right. Les, want to make a motion here?
Yeah, I'm pleased to move approval of the Banneker Community Center Advisory Council and bylaws.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. And motion unanimously carried. And then Eric will also tell us about the contract with Chef for Hire.
Yeah, so we're also here to seek approval of a contract with Chef for Hire in support of the Banneker Camp Summer Program. We've worked with Chef for Hire for several years now, as they are the food vendor while we participate in the state summer food service program. So obviously there's a lot of conversations on what this might look like for this summer, and those are continually ongoing. But however our operations, however those look like, Chef for Hire and the food distribution part of it will still be present. So we have actually extended the amount not to exceed to 30,000, which we haven't anticipated getting that far in previous years, but we've increased that just to give us some leeway should our operations expand in meal distribution for the summer. And so I feel confident that having those conversations with Chef for Hire over the last several weeks, that they're prepared to accommodate whatever changes we may make. So we've enjoyed working with them, and we'll look forward to using their resources this summer as we try to make an impact on the community.
Yeah, that's been such an important program, and especially now with a lot of people out of work, and there could certainly be bigger demand this summer.
That's definitely our anticipation. We're trying to collaborate with different area organizations to tackle food distribution in the summer, and hopefully Chef for Hire will play a big part of that.
All right, great. Any other questions or from Les or Israel?
Yeah, I have a question regarding healthy meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the healthy meal requirements. Could you just share a little bit about this? What is the healthy breakfast?
That's a really good question. So as a part of the summer food service program, the state requires that the meals have certain healthy guidelines. So portions of fruits and veggies and grains and those things like that. There are strict guidelines. In order to be reimbursed for every meal that we serve, we have to meet those guidelines. So one of the approved vendors from the state through the summer food service program is Chef for Hire. So the state works closely with Chef for Hire to make sure that all the meals that they prepare meet those guidelines so that we can be reimbursed for it through the state. So we're confident that the meals that we're serving, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it ends up being with Chef for Hire, that those are healthy meals as approved by the state in the summer food service program.
And it says that this contract has been for many years. Do you happen to know for how many years?
I don't exactly. I know that the program has existed for I think over 15 years. And I know that I've been with the department for close to 4. So in my time here, we've always used Chef for Hire. And I know my predecessor, Leslie Brinson, used them for several years before then. So it's been a long-standing partnership.
Okay. All right. If there are no other board member questions, then we'll move on to the motion, Les.
I move approval of the Chef for Hire contract.
I second.
Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion unanimously carried. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
And Marcia Veldman is up to talk about approval of the Farmers Market Advisory Council member recommendations.
Hi, thank you. Marcia Veldman, the Farmers Market Coordinator. And to let you know, I'm going to leave my video off because I live in a rural area and my line is a bit unstable. But I think it'll work with the video off. So I give you a little background. The Farmers Market Advisory Council is composed of a maximum of 11 voting members. I think it was a couple months ago when you approved an update to the bylaws that added 2 food and beverage artisan representatives. There are 4 farm vendor representative positions and 5 customer. You received a list of the proposed advisory council members. We had a lot of openings, in large part due to positions that had gone for the full 3 opportunities of terms. So there were 4 farm vendor position openings, 4 applications received in that area. We had the 2 new food and beverage artisan position openings, and we received 3 applications. And then there were 4 customer position openings, and we received 15 applications, which is a new record in that area. And the recommendation of representatives is based on several factors, including the desire to have diverse representation and also for maintaining some institutional knowledge. So the recommendation is in the farm vendor category for Cortland Carrington and Becky Vadas, who both have served previously, to be able to return to the advisory council, and adding Whitney Schlegel and Melanie McQuinn. In the food and beverage artisan, Katie Zukoff and Jesus Barajas. And for the customers, there was 1 person only who was midterm, and that's Suzanne Mann. So we're happy that she is carrying on. But adding to that, Janice Lilly and Marilee Rosenbarger, who have years ago served on the advisory council and were interested in returning. And then Michael Gleason and Lynn Schwartzberg. So we did promote the position openings heavily, much more so than usual, to really, get the word out, and specifically through venues that would reach people of color and marginalized populations. So through the Herald Times, on our website, through our customer newsletter, through the Broadening Inclusion Group, Community and Family Resources, about 15 different organizations that represent diverse populations, the market, and the market beat from the farmers market, which goes out to the vendors. So that's the recommendation and some background, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Any questions, Les or Israel?
So no, other than I'm happy to see Janice Lilly come back on the advisory group. She was a very strong leader and member for several years.
Marcia, so for the farmers, you were mentioning returning ones. How many are returning members for the farmers group?
There are 2, Cortland Carrington and Becky Vadas, both completed their first terms and applied to return.
So the second one, Rebecca, is that the one that you're saying?
Yes. Rebecca Vadas, she's with Hoosier Honey.
And could I know about Jesus Barajas? He's representing which vendor?
Jesus is, his business is Cezanne, which is Mexican cuisine. And so he would be a food and beverage artisan representative.
Right, and for that food and beverage artisans, how many applicants do you have?
We received 3 applications for the 2 position openings.
And could I know about the final selection? How many members were involved in the final selection of the representatives?
So we conferred within the department. So 3 people in the recreation division conferred on these selections.
All right, no more questions from Israel.
Okay. All right. Les, are we ready for a motion then, I think?
Sure am. I move approval for the Farmers Market Advisory Council members as recommended.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion unanimously carried. And Marcia, just before you go, I just wanted to shout out to you and all the farmers market staff for really handling all those incredible changes in the online market and really adapting to that and making it work for people. And really, I mean, truly, it was, when I saw you down there those Saturdays, I mean, it looked heroic. So.
Well, thanks.
Here, here.
It definitely was a major team effort. There were so many people who helped make the distribution at the Switchyard Park possible. So, and now, as you're probably aware, we are moving 2 showers coming, but with the online purchasing and a walkthrough pickup for this coming Saturday.
Right. Okay. And yeah, I guess if anyone's watching, if they're not sure that how that works, they can get more information on the department website.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Well, again, thank you so much for all those efforts at the market.
Yeah, thank you, Marcia.
All right, and let's move on to, looks like Bill Ream is up next with the contract with Code and Key Escape Room.
Hi, yes. It was a little confusing because I'm on Bloomington Parks on Zoom instead of my name. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, here I am. Anyway, so yes, let me find my piece of paper here. So I'm here to recommend the approval of the partnership agreement between the Parks and Rec Department and the Code and Key Escape Rooms. There will be a 50-50 split of revenue from entry fees after the expenses have been paid. And this revenue will come through the community events non-reverting account. This is the 2nd year for this partnership. The goal is to combine the resources from our department and Code and Key Escape Rooms to offer. This year it will be called the Strange Things Escape Adventure to the Bloomington community. The event takes the concept of an escape room and moves it outside to Switchyard Park. The storyline will be based on the popular Stranger Things Netflix series. Attendees will have to work together with their group of 3 to 6 people and use their wits and ingenuity to solve puzzles and problem-solving tasks at a series of stations in 60 minutes or less. The event will be on Saturday and Sunday, June 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th. Like I said, at Switchyard Park. The adventure will start every 30 minutes from 1 to 7 each day, and the teams can register online at the Parks website or in person. Well, when the Parks Department office is open again, they can also do it in person there. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions.
No question for me. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really successful. I think it sounds like a clever idea.
Yeah, and this year we're looking at, with everything going on, I met with the folks today, and we're trying to make some of the puzzles a little more hands-off. So we don't, so they're kind of a visual thing, or if we're doing a certain puzzle, we might have 2 of them so we can swap one out and clean it in between groups.
That's a good idea.
Social distancing and everything in mind, and the cleaning and all that.
Yeah, very good.
So, Bill, one question. So the teams are assigned or just a group of people decides to work together?
The people choose their own teams. Sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's family and friends. It's the nature of an escape room. You need to have at least 3 people. So that's why I said 3 to 6, and more than 6 makes it a little bit too confusing. And so it's a nice small group. And so it's really the makeup of the group. It's geared towards adults, but they can have, if they want to have their kids with them, that's fine. We're saying it's geared towards adults, but kids can certainly participate and or just come along, whichever.
When you mention June 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th, so for each one of these days, there will be different groups. No, the same group that starts on June 6th, they will be the same for the following months, right?
Right, it'll be the same event. It just runs. The folks pick a time slot to start to do the event, and so there's 13 time slots each day. We run it every half hour. So each team would pick an individual time slot on whichever day and time they want.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Les, I think we're ready for a motion.
I so move.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion unanimously carried. All right, and then Bill also has a contract with Big House Fun Rental.
Right, I'm here to recommend an approval of a contract for services with Big Bounce Funhouse Rentals to rent bounce houses and other equipment. It was for summer kickoff, touch a truck, and the holiday market events. The rentals will be paid out of community events, non-reverting, and general fund, and it's not to exceed $3,500. We've rented items from this company for several years, and the equipment is always high quality, and their staff is very conscientious regarding the safety of event attendees using the equipment. And I mentioned 2 of the events. The summer kickoff, there's a good chance that might be moved, and touch a truck, that one's kind of on the bubble right now. We're discussing that one because that's such a big attendance event, and so we might not use the equipment that we were going to for safety reasons, so slides and things. It's just they take very good care of them, but it would be very difficult for them to clean it after every kid that went down the slide or in the bounce house or whatever the case may be. So some of the stuff may be either pushed to the fall, or we may just not have as many rentals with them. The holiday market is a train, so that would be a very easy one to wipe down real quick after each group that rides that. So there may be some alterations, but when the contract was written, it was in anticipation of everything going on, but we realize it may not, or it may change. So just wanted to mention that we are aware of with everything that it might not be a good idea to have 1,000 kids go down a slide. So we'll definitely take that into consideration and either eliminate it or look into doing something else.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. Any other questions or comments?
I move for approval of Big House Fun Rental.
Second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion unanimously carried. Thank you, Bill. And next up, we have John Turnbull with the contract with Kentucky Fairways Zoysia Farm.
Good afternoon, all. Can you hear me okay? Am I there?
Yeah, you're kind of echoey.
Oh,
you're garbled.
A bit.
Sorry. Anyway.
So, John, we can't hear you at all. Can you turn your volume down? Maybe.
Yeah. Hold on. How about that? No better.
I am to hear.
Hang on. How about that?
It's
No.
Dang it.
Kim, should he leave the meeting and maybe come back in?
Wait a minute. Let me try one other thing. Second.
John, do you have your headphones in?
Yeah, it looks like
plugged
he's-
in?
I do not. I will now. How about this? How about this? Any better?
No. John, why don't you go ahead and leave the meeting and sign back on, and we'll see if that makes it clearer for you, okay?
Okay.
Could he use his phone to call in?
Yeah, if
Well-
not, that's an idea too, John. Just call us on your phone.
Wait about this. Does that work? No.
No, it's on.
no, you kind of sound like the Terminator or something. I mean, it's not
He is the
terrible, but
Terminator.
I'm gonna leave and then try back in.
okay.
Okay. I'll watch for you.
Okay.
Whoa, I'm going to take a few minutes while we wait for John to introduce Daniel Dixon. Daniel, if you want to unmute yourself. I'm sure you all recognized all the staff names, and then Daniel's been hanging out with us as well. And I should have introduced him from the very beginning, but Daniel is a new attorney with the City of Bloomington Legal Department, and he has been assigned to Parks. So I think we really brought him on board very quickly because he approved and reviewed all of these partnerships and contracts on this agenda item. So just wanted to welcome Daniel officially, and that's why he is attending this meeting and taking this all in. Welcome, Daniel.
Welcome.
Welcome, Daniel.
Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, and it's nice to meet all of you virtually, and I look forward to hopefully someday soon meeting you all in person, and hopefully you didn't think I was Zoom bombing you today.
Well, we'll keep you busy.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you want to try it again?
Yeah, how's this sound?
Oh,
that's
Much
perfect.
Oh man, it was scared me
Yay.
because I really need to get these going on this agenda. So, all right, very nice to see everyone. This is very weird, but hopefully you can hear me and it's all working. So I'm here to ask your approval of a contract with Kentucky Fairway Zoysia Farm. As you know, we have done 2 Zoysia Fairway projects at Cascades Golf Course. This is the 3rd and final one. Both of them have exceeded our expectations, and both of them were done by this company near Louisville. They're actually right by the river down there. We got approval when all this mess happened to move this to Series D Park Fund General Obligation Bond, so it relieves the pressure on non-reverting. We also scaled it back somewhat. The original bid was $259,000. This is $239,000. Legal gave us approval to adjust it. And so this is the 9 holes that is closest to the stop sign by North High School. That's it on my end.
Okay. Any questions, Les or Israel?
No, just do it quickly.
Amen.
It's really worked. It works.
Okay.
No question from me.
Okay. All right. Les, you want to make a motion?
Yep, coming up. I move approval of the contract with Kentucky Fairways Zoysia Farm for the Zoysia grass on the front 9, whatever.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. That motion.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question. So,
Oh, sorry.
do we have questions from the Facebook session or not? question from the public?
Do we have any questions from on the Facebook Live
Yeah.
feed? Yeah, good question. I had it up earlier, but I don't have it up now. Paula, do you or Kim have the Facebook feed live? They can see if anything has come in.
There are no comments or questions at this time.
Okay.
Andrew's monitoring Facebook, and I am monitoring my email account continuously.
Great. Thank you, Andrew and Paula. All right. And then John will also tell us about the service agreement with Alexander Electric.
Okay, this was pushed back from the last park board meeting before all the mess happened. We just want to add a competitor to electrical repair and service. Alexander may or may not be called up by us, but they are a reputable vendor, and we, particularly with the pool and the pool heater, we had some questions, so we wanted to add them in the mix.
Okay. All right. Any questions, Les or Israel?
No. Shall I move?
Please, yes.
I move to approve the service agreement with Alexander Electric.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion unanimously carried. And then John has the contract with Lentz.
Thank you. And this is the final court paving project in our general obligation bond. This is Bryant Park Tennis Courts. Many of you probably walk by or see these courts. They have been pretty severely stained by tree and foliage around them. They've also been repaired temporarily on several occasions with a system for crack repair, but this would be the scope of the project. Is they come in, they cement all the cracks, they then put some Petrotech over those cracks, and then they overlay the entire surface with 1.5 inches of asphalt. Lining comes later in a separate contract that you would see later on. This bid is, they've done this work before at some other courts. They did Winslow. We're very happy with it. And in fact, we're quite happy with a $76,000 bid for this project.
Okay. Thanks for explaining how that works. Any questions, Les or Israel?
No. Happy to move.
Okay.
I move the contract with Lentz Paving approved. To be approved.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Unanimously approved. And finally, John has the addendum to a contract with Deem.
Thank you all so much. This is a Deem which specifically works on anhydrous ammonia cooling, large food facilities and so on. They mostly at our ice arena. They had a price change from the original contract. We are okay with that price change. Legal recommended an addendum to this service agreement. They went from $100 Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to $120. And they went from $150 off hours to $180 off hours. So we have to submit this addendum for your approval.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions, Les or Israel?
I assume that's per hour.
That is per hour.
Including travel.
I believe they do have a truck charge on that. I don't have the contract in front of me, but
I'll bet they do. Yeah.
They probably do.
Okay.
Okay. Want a motion?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I move approval of the contract addendum with Dean.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion carried. Thank you, John.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next up is Barb Dunbar with the partnership agreement with Centerstone.
I think Dave was going to do that for Barb. Dave?
Okay.
Kathleen, I'm going to take a stretch break. I'll still be on audio.
Sure. Okay.
Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Barb is having some technical difficulties and asked me to sub for her. This is requesting approval for the 4th year of the partnership agreement with Centerstone. We started in 2017 with downtown park maintenance, utilizing the clients from Centerstone, working under the supervision of our foreman in the Parks Operations Division. This new partnership, which would go into effect May 11th due to some obvious delays, would bring 4 custodial positions to assist us with park sanitation, 4 people working 20 hours each per week, 4 people in our landscaping area working 24 hours per week. And the addition for this year, for 2020, is to add 3 Centerstone personnel out at the golf course, each working 8 hours per week. They would be paid the same wages as we do other employees in the operations division and the department. And the cost would be charged to the general fund. The emphasis for the operations division and landscaping and custodial maintenance is on downtown parks. And obviously for the golf course would be out of Cascades.
Okay. I've always been impressed with this as a creative solution to helping the folks who are at Centerstone and then also helping parks with some cleanup and some other tasks.
Yeah, it's been a very successful program, and some of the Centerstone clients have made the successful transition to become temporary employees with our division. So it's a good job training program that's worked out quite well for us.
That's great. Okay. All right. Any questions from Les or Israel?
Just if I may, Dave, this has been a really nice model that was a challenge. Was, how shall I say, interesting at the time of implementation, and it's worked out well. Has this been picked up by any other public agency?
I think Paula would be better to speak to that. Not that I'm aware of. We may very well be the first, certainly in this area.
Thanks,
Okay.
Dave. Yeah, I'm just sitting here really proud that we're entering our 4th year with this partnership agreement. And Greg May from Centerstone and I have presented at the opioid conference. I did that 2 years ago. Dave, I did it this past year. So we're definitely telling our story. And I know that Greg has talked to several employers in the area and region about modeling this program, which is really exciting. And one that we actually found it in Boulder, Colorado, and brought it here. So the model works, and having a great partner is also key to this successful partnership with Centerstone. Amazing to work with, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you. Yes, Les?
Yep. I move approval of the partnership agreement with Centerstone.
A second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Right, motion unanimously carried. Thank you, Dave. And then next up is Rebecca with the partnership agreement with the Monroe County Public Library.
Hello, Rebecca Jania, Natural Resources Coordinator with the City of Bloomington Parks and Rec. I have a partnership agreement for your approval today with the Monroe County Public Library. We would like to do a park crawl program that highlights different city parks and features at these parks. The main point of the program is meant to encourage participants to visit different city parks using sustainable modes of transportation. So the parks we've chose to highlight in this program are either on a bus route or bike route, somewhere that they can easily access, again, using a sustainable mode. And participants who complete this program are rewarded with a reusable metal straw. This was supposed to happen for the month of April to celebrate Earth Day, the 50th anniversary, and kind of complement some other programs we were planning, like the celebration. But we don't want to let this go away. We still think these are important points to encourage the community of Bloomington to make. And we would still like to move forward with planning this program down the line, especially because it can still be done with safe social distancing practices. So I'm eager to work with our partners at the Monroe County Public Library on more projects like this. I just want to point out that what I really need the approval for is we are cost sharing the purchasing of the metal reusable straws. Our 50% contributions will not exceed $300. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, sounds very innovative. Any questions from Les or Israel?
So since this was postponed, is there any tentative date for fall or for?
We are hoping for August now. We would like the program to run a whole duration of a month, so things keep getting, pushed back, but we're hoping for August now, especially to welcome back some students, hopefully in the fall with IU. But we'll see how it all pans out.
Right, and Rebecca, what was highlighting different features at our city parks? So how many parks are involved and what would be some of those features?
Yeah, so we have 6 different parks, and we've also decided to include Monroe County Park, Karst Park. Some of the parks we included were Bryan Park, Peoples Park, Switchyard Park, and the different features that we chose to highlight are something that would stand out at these parks. So if you've visited Peoples Park, I'm sure you've noticed the beautiful Bloomington mural. That would be something we would highlight and maybe encourage the program participants to snap a picture of. Bryan Park has some really great workout facilities that right now are open to the public, but hopefully down the line when we have this program running, they can also have use of those workout equipment. So different things that maybe our community members don't know exist at these parks. And so it's a little bit of marketing in a way, just to try to get people aware of the features.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. And Les, I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, I move approval of the partnership agreement with Monroe County Public Library.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Right, motion unanimously carried. And then Rebecca also has the contract with Aquatic Control.
Yes, so just to give you a little background, Israel, we've been in this contract for a LAIR program, which stands for the Lake and River Enhancement Program with DNR since 2004. And what that includes is some aquatic invasive management out there. So we have invasive plants like Eurasian milfoil that is really detrimental to the ecology out there and for recreation users boaters, fishermen, things like that. So with this program, there is a cost share. Indiana DNR supplies 80% of the funding to manage the invasives out there, and Parks supplies 20% of that. We've been working with Aquatic Control on this program for years. They are very familiar with Griffey Lake. They're familiar with the LAIR requirements during this process. So they've been very helpful for me transitioning into this position, making sure that I'm hitting my marks as well as DNR. So we feel very comfortable moving forward with Aquatic Control in 2020. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay.
We've had no infringements or violations of any of the particular permit or requirements DNR on this one. I'm pretty sure we haven't. They're really quite good.
Yes. Yeah, we've been hitting all the requirements, and a lot of really good success stories. If you're familiar with when I came before you this last fall, talking about how much we've gone down in the acreage of coverage out there. We're now from 27 acres down to less than 1 acre, which means we're also using a lot less herbicide and product out there. So it's working.
Yeah, this outfit knows how to do this, and that's an amazing decrease. I go back to the days when we were putting a little too much probably in there. Well, it was heavy.
All right.
Yeah, Rebecca, so this is going on right now, right? Because it says the treatment was planned for April and May, or has it been just stopped?
Thank you for bringing it up. So yeah, so that's actually, we're in a big of a time constraint because we need to get out there while the invasive plants are going out to leaf, but before a lot of the natives become established. So there's a small window between middle to late April and early May. And so that's why I need to get your approval before we actually receive the official award letter from DNR, although we have received the preliminary award letter letting us know to move forward. So that's another reason why you pointed that out. Our window is small, but Aquatic Control is basically ready for me to bring the contract to them tomorrow.
I think this has happened before, and it's always seemed to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rebecca. I think Glass, we're ready for a motion.
Yeah, I move approval of the contract with Aquatic Control, Inc.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, unanimously carried. And thanks, Rebecca. And we're back with Dave Williams for the Rundell Ernstberger Associates.
Okay, a little refresher for Kathleen and Les, and perhaps some new information for Israel. The Switchyard Park project is entirely funded. Contractor fees, consultant fees, some owner purchased items, et cetera, through a tax increment financing bond of 2015. So whenever I bring business related to Switchyard Park to you, typically you are the second line of approval from the Redevelopment Commission, who is the bank essentially for the Switchyard Park project. I wanted you to know that this agenda item was taken to the Redevelopment Commission on April 9th and received approval. Essentially what we're dealing with is that our consultants, Rundell Ernstberger, who is not only our design consultant for this project, but also serves as our inspection team and job administration team. I rely heavily on, sometimes it seems like hourly, communications with Cecil Penland of Rundell Ernstberger and our boots on the ground inspector Judd Huber, two very capable people that are joined by an army of support staff in Rundell Ernstberger, as well as sub-consultants on the Switchyard Park project. Rundell Ernstberger's fees were based on the contract requirement to complete per substantial completion all facilities and construction in the park, in Switchyard Park, by November 1st of 2019. The follow-up completion would be for only some landscape plantings, and that would be basically a minor amount of work in the whole context of the project scope, but it would have allowed Rundell Ernstberger to go down to a skeleton crew, part-time inspection, not certainly the 40 hours per week, often more than one person, inspecting the facilities and the site work and the remediation activities. We have been working very closely with our contractor and have made it very clear to them that we will meet our May 24th completion date. However, my purpose in bringing this contract addendum to you is that, again, Rundell Ernstberger's fees were calculated on a November substantial completion with very little presence of their staff for the months into May of 2020. That has not turned out to be the case. Rundell Ernstberger, I feel, and the Redevelopment Commission feels, is entitled to additional construction inspection fees and administration that will take a lot of the project components. We need to administer them, inspect them, and finish out the project by late May. And then there's a follow-up kind of the project closeout, operations manuals, as-built construction drawings, things of that nature. This is an additional cost to the project. We're working very closely with Daniel Dixon and Larry Allen, who represents the Redevelopment Commission, as to a settlement of these additional costs down the road. Right now, our focus is entirely working with our general contractor to finish the project, finish it as close to on schedule as we can, open up a beautiful new facility to the public. And that's essentially what we're asking for now, is to extend Rundell's services to June 30th of 2020 for an additional fee of $231,630. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Les and Israel, any questions?
Yeah, I do. It seems to me that there should be some accountability for this, part of this at least, on the contractor, the general contractor. They are, I think, weather's a part of it, but there's been some, well, I think there should be some recourse here somewhere. That's up to council and Dave. But
we would agree, as does legal counsel. We are not guaranteed to be made whole on this expense. And again, this is a redevelopment item that we discussed with the commission members, and our attorney advised that we would certainly seek some kind of a settlement at the conclusion of the job. That is a future chapter that we will have to manage through. But our focus now is to not only make sure that our inspection team remains intact, but that we have numerous eyes on the project, boots on the ground, to make sure that everything is done per the plans and specifications, that in the rush to complete the project, we don't lose track of the quality control issues. So I can't speak highly enough for the competence and the intelligence and the reliability of Rundell Ernstberger's inspection staff, as well as their administrative staff in their home office.
I totally agree. Yeah, I know these people and actually have spent some time with them. So yeah, I'm fully ready to vote on this, but I just had to raise that issue because
I couldn't agree with you more or less. And at some point there will be an accountability for this additional cost to the city. That is a project expense that we certainly feel the contractor has played a role in having that.
And there's penalties involved too with the contractor running this far over the deadline.
And we have made the general contractor aware, at least of the calculation to date, for those penalties.
Well, I'm going to let it go at that. And you just say the word and I'm ready to make a motion for approval.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And go ahead, Les.
Okay, I will move that the contract addendum with Rundell and Ernstberger Associates be approved.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion unanimously carried. All right, and then Dave will also tell us about the Rundell Ernstberger gateway sidewalk design.
Yeah, actually, Kathleen, I'm going to try to rearrange the order of the agenda items because I think it may make more sense. If you'll allow me to do that.
Sure.
I think
Yeah, certainly.
Clarity. So let's start with C23, the MOU Collegiate Development. So in your board report, you should have an aerial photograph showing a fairly large city planning approved development on North Walnut Street on the east side. basically adjoining the northern tip of Miller Showers Park. Now, the northern tip in your aerial view is not an area that the public accesses. It is purely a landscaping gateway to the city of Bloomington. We were approached by city planning because the existing sidewalk on the east side of Walnut Street has to be removed for the installation of a new water line to serve this development. Obviously, this means that the public, the pedestrians, would not have a means of travel, safe travel, on the east side of Walnut alongside this development. So we were approached by the Collegiate Development Group along with city planning to see if this northern arrow point of Miller Showers Park could be used for a sidewalk construction. Now, coincidentally, at the same time, Rundell Ernstberger, who we just talked about with regard to the switch art as our design consultant, is also the city's design consultant for several gateway projects that are also bond funded by the bicentennial bond. One of them is the entryway via Miller Showers Park at College Avenue. That project conceptually, and I think Kevin Osborne and Kevin Sweetland with Rundell will be sharing with you some of the conceptual views, but in the board report that I provided, there is, per the conceptual design, a sidewalk. So what we've been able to do, along with the assistance of Daniel Dixon and legal, is to work through several renditions of a memorandum of understanding that would have collegiate development build the sidewalk that would give pedestrians north-south movement on Walnut Street on our property, but this would not be a temporary sidewalk. It would be a sidewalk that would be permanently constructed per the design of our gateway project. And what we've done in a series of back and forth negotiations with collegiate development is we've asked them to provide Rundell Ernstberger with survey data and to build the sidewalk and leave it in place. Now, there were, I think, Kim Clapp advised earlier that there were some minor tweaks to the MOU before it got into your packet. I hope you can trust me that these were minor, just narrative dates, but not the crux of the agreement. So with your approval on this MOU, upon receipt of survey data by collegiate development, they would provide that survey data to Rundell Ernstberger, who would design the sidewalk and only the sidewalk. It would not be specialty pavements. It would be per the final gateway design. Again, it would remain in place. It would be constructed by collegiate development at their cost because they do have to provide a sidewalk conveyance for pedestrians on the east side of Walnut. This is in the middle of Walnut, essentially, and it would serve the purpose. Their construction project is expected to begin very soon and last for 2 years. We are still in the concept phase for the Gateway project. So that's the crux of it, and that's why I wanted to put number 23 ahead of number 22, because the next item, go back to 22, is to approve Rundell Ernstberger's design of the sidewalk. Now, again, since we are going to want to make sure that the developer's constructed sidewalk is a permanent sidewalk that complies with our gateway design, we are paying for the design of the sidewalk. It's not just going to be a temporary sidewalk that will be removed. It will be a permanent fixture as part of the gateway design. So hopefully I haven't confused you, but we're helping pedestrians move safely north and south along Walnut in a situation where there simply were no other alternatives. And we went back and forth with the Collegiate Development Group and City Planning to confirm that. We think we can kill two birds with one stone with your approval. Happy to answer any questions. And Daniel Dixon can also speak to any conditions laid out in the MOU.
Okay, Les and Israel, any questions or comments?
Just a comment, I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm familiar with that development. I happen to have sat on, I think, the Plan Commission, one of the reviews of this. It makes sense. Dave, should we include in the motion, as a technical point, the particular documents that they need? What you remind me, you wanted a survey? And
that's
design?
all in the MOU, Les. They will provide us with sufficient survey data to design and construct the sidewalk. Rondell Ernstberger will take that survey data, and those will be the plans and specs that Collegiate will have to follow for the construction.
Okay.
Okay, great. And thank you for all of that background explanation. That helps a lot, Dave.
No problem.
All right, any other comments or questions before we go to a motion?
Okay, I move approval of the MOU with Collegiate Development for sidewalk construction at Miller's Showers Park.
I second.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion unanimously carried. And then, Dave, do you want to backtrack then there to the gateway sidewalk design?
Yes, please, Kathleen. The services that Rondell Ernstberger would provide at our expense would be the design of the permanent gateway sidewalk, which would also serve the purposes of pedestrian conveyance for Collegiate Development's project. They would provide these services, I believe it was within 30 days, Daniel, maybe it's 60 days, I don't recall. But in any case, it would be $7,800 that would be charged to the budget allocation for the city's gateway projects. But we want Rondell to do the design because they will be following up with completion of that arrow point in a much larger scale gateway design. And I think the Kevins from Rondell can enlighten you with that concept design later in the program.
Okay, all right, any questions or comments?
Makes sense, no.
Okay, I think we'll take a motion then for that, please, Les.
Okay, I move approval of the contract with Rondell Ernstberger and Associates for the gateway sidewalk design.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion unanimously carried. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Nice job.
And speaking of public comments, just to check once again with Andrew or Paulo, we have anything come in on email or Facebook Live?
Nothing in email.
There
Okay.
are none on Facebook at this time.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, and then Steve Cotter is up for contract with White Buffalo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kathleen. I am the Natural Resources Manager, and I am asking today for your approval for a Community Hunting Access Program coordination contract with White Buffalo, Inc., who coordinated our chap hunt last year. White Buffalo is a company focused on the conservation of native species and ecosystems. The amount of the contract for this year would not exceed $32,500. We have received approval for up to $25,000 from DNR from a CHAP coordination grant. The dates of the hunt this year would be November 14, 15, 21, 22, 28, and 29. We have been monitoring the vegetation, and both the contractor White Buffalo and the contractor who's been doing the vegetation monitoring recommend continued deer management to allow the plants to recover to a point where they can continue to reproduce. We would have staff and security on site during the hunts to inform the public that the park is closed for the chap hunt. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Can you remind me, Steve, would this be the second hunt out there? It's not the third, is it?
Well, in 2017, there was a sharpshooting effort done by White Buffalo, Inc. We've actually been working with them for about 6 years on this. And then last year, we had our first community hunting access program hunt. And so, yes, this will be the second actual hunt, but the third effort where we've been working with white buffalo.
Okay, and you've seen improvement in the vegetation out there?
Not yet, honestly. Very little change from 2016 through 2019. So we think that we need to continue the effort and ramp it up.
Steve, is IU still doing those control sections for a study?
Angie Shelton originally did some exclosure research, and I am not sure if anybody is continuing work on those exclosures. I know that the IURTP has been maintaining them, and they have been working with some undergrads, but I'm not sure if anybody currently is monitoring those stations.
Yeah. If they still exist and are being maintained, it'd be worth contacting them. And that could answer Kathleen's question a little better, I think. It was remarkable, the degradation of particularly the undergrowth beyond those control sections, which were fenced off, basically. It was striking. It reminded me of the Brown County experience. Yep, this needs to be done.
Okay, all right, any other questions or comments? All right, Les, we'll take a motion for this one,
Okay,
please.
let's do. I move approval for the contract with White Buffalo.
Second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion unanimously carried. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
And Aaron Hatch is up next with the agreement with Middleway House. Do we have?
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
No, you're fine.
Hi, I'm going to present on a partnership agreement with Middleway House. This is as part of their Wrapped in Love programming and to allow usage of up to 55 city trees that'll be wrapped in knitted sweaters and used for fundraising for Middleway House. And this is something that we've done in the past and are looking to continue to do.
And different groups, I'm going to be honest, I've never entirely understood the sweaters thing. So different groups like kind of sponsor a tree sweater. Is that the way it works?
Yes. So different businesses will sponsor the artists to make the tree sweaters, and funds from that sponsorship then go to Middleway House for their services.
Okay. And we're simply providing the trees and saying
Exactly.
you put these charming sweaters on these trees. Yes.
Exactly. Install and take down is all on them and their volunteers.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay. Les?
I move approval of partnership agreement with Middleway House for tree sweaters.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Hearing or seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion unanimously carried. And then Aaron is also going to tell us about the contract with Bartlett Tree Experts.
Yes, I'm seeking approval for a contract with Bartlett Tree Experts to conduct emerald ash borer root injections in order to suppress emerald ash borer in both street and park trees in various locations across the city. We've worked with Bartlett since about 2015, and this is part of a continual effort paired with removal of ash trees to deal with the emerald ash borer problem. And this would be for $11,812.50.
All right, that darn emerald ash borer just keeps coming back. Yeah.
Aaron, do we have an idea of how many trees they plan to treat?
So the contract is for 1,350 diameter breast height inches. There's a list that I'm going to go through with them and look at each tree individually because what we maybe treated in the past isn't necessarily what we want to treat this year. But they will be provided a list for specific tree sites and locations.
Okay, well, this just as a comment, this stuff works. I've managed to salvage 2 crucial ash trees at my home with treatments, and we're due for another one another month. They work, and it's worth spending a few bucks to keep these trees.
Okay, all right. Any other comments or questions?
Okay, I move to approve the contract with Bartlett Tree Experts.
Second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion carried. Thank you, Aaron. And Marcia Veldman is back with one more addendum to the farmers market contracts.
Yeah, hello again. So I am here with a recommendation for the approval of the addenda to the farm vendor contract, the food and beverage artisan contract, and the food truck contract. And these changes to the contract kind of reflect the need for flexibility as we're dealing with this rapidly evolving situation, and include changes to the fee structure, including setting a flat fee of $18 for vendors participating, including the food and beverage artisans. And then additionally for the farm vendors, the suspension of the point system and the allowance to use stand assistance, providing them the opportunity to hire someone if they are unable to present at market, and also ensuring that vendors do not feel obligated to attend the market due to the point system. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
None for me.
And maybe just, Marcia, a quick just explanation if anyone is watching about how the point system works for the vendors.
Yes, for the farm vendors, we have a point system, and it goes back to 1983. So it's a longstanding point system that reflects the consistency of vendor participation as well as the seniority of a vendor's participation. And those points are used by the vendor to select their spaces. So by suspending the point system, it will make it so there aren't any vendors who feel obliged to attend because they don't want to lose ground relative to other vendors on points.
Okay, sure, especially given the way things are unfolding this spring and summer.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, I move approval of the addendum to the farmers market contracts.
I second.
All right, any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion unanimously carried. Thanks for coming back, Marcia.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I'd like to Kathleen, I'd like to parenthetically thank and congratulate Marcia and her team and the staff that have been working with them to really make something remarkable happen at the farmers market to date. And I have no doubt that it's going to continue with the move down to the Showers facility. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Les. That's nice to hear.
All right, and then moving on, Becky Higgins with the fee additions to the 2020 price schedule.
Becky,
there's so many people in this.
She's muted.
Oh, okay.
Let me text her.
Okay.
Got it.
That's unusual.
Becky, can you hear us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
I remembered to do the video, but not the mute.
Well, we like your video.
Your home looks more interesting than mine.
It's where I'd like to be. It's where I am in my head. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm here today to recommend approval of some new fees for the price schedule. One is for the farmers market contracts for May 2020, and then also fees for a new CARES program, which stands for Children and Recreation Emergency Services, which are both in response to COVID-19. A little background you've heard with farmers market due to the COVID-19 and the look at the way that we're transitioning our market. This is our second transition. And because of such, we have had to change the way that we are doing our fee structure. So in the month of April, there were no charges to any vendors at market because of the uncertainty of what we were doing. As we transition into May and the movement to back onto showers and the walk-through pickup market, we have decided that all vendors should be charged similar costs for this part of market. So we are looking at an $18 per vendor fee and a $12 if they're a senior or child vendor. And this would go on, although it says for May and June, we're hoping this is the month of May. We anticipate a transition into something else into June, but this gives us the option, if it does run longer, that we need to operate this way. We would also like to just remind people that all purchases are made in advance and online with a credit card, and that exceptions will be made for customers using SNAP benefits, and those will be accepted on site. The second one is regarding to the community. We're working with the Community Foundation to develop and provide childcare opportunities for first responders and medical workers during this stay-at-home order. And the cost for running this childcare program is about $220 per child per week. And we just want to make sure that that is in our price schedule. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Becky, has there been any sign up or inquiries yet on the child care program? Or
there have not, and we really think at this point in time that most people have found child care needs for this period. And so, but we still want to have this on the books because in case it should happen, we are ready to move forward with it.
It sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the staff, especially Banneker staff, for the work of getting this ready. And it's been a very interesting process to look at all the variables that you would need to be able to put a child care program into place.
All right. Okay, great.
Becky.
Yes.
Right, I have a question. So the 25 fee would be maybe for the home delivery option, or the range from 5 to 25? What would be the highest fee?
I'm sorry, for which one, Israel?
The fee range of 5 to 25.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. So in addition to the $18 and the $12 fee for market, we have a range of $10 in their works. We would like to explore the opportunity of potentially offering either, it allows us a little flexibility to check into the potential of a delivery service and or also a curbside for those people who may not be able to walk through. We're not there yet, but in case we decide to move in that direction, it gives us that flexibility to do so. Thank you for asking that. I'm sorry I missed it.
Okay. All right. And I think we might, we have an email comment on this one. Last time I read the email comment, I kind of zipped out for a minute there, but let me see if I can do this. Or do you have it there, Paula? No?
No.
Okay, let me just minimize here and see if I can access it. Okay, I think I have the same comment that I read at the beginning of the meeting. That was from Eric and from Katie from Muddy Fork Bakery that I read during the initial public comment period. So I don't know if there's another one coming in or.
It's just a comment, right? It's not a question.
It's just a comment.
She mentioned she mentioned on Facebook that she was going to resend her comment, so she may not have heard it from the beginning.
Okay, that's what I was
that's
wondering.
what it is.
Yeah.
She's on the email that Eric sent in. They both signed it.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and read it now.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So this was the comment from Eric Shedler and Katie Zukoff from Muddy Fork Bakery. We support the changes to the food and beverage artisan vending contract and ask the board to approve the addendum. We appreciate that the concerns of FBA vendors, most of whom have been hit hard by the pandemic, have been heard and are thankful that park staff is recommending a fee of FBA vendors equal to that of farm vendors for the months of May and June. We also appreciate the work of the market staff in quickly adapting to the needs of this extraordinary time and setting up an online platform to allow the market to continue in a way that keeps vendors and customers as safe as possible while keeping open the vitally important local food supply chain. So yeah, this is actually probably a more appropriate place for the comment than the beginning, but yes.
So Eric is mentioned in June as well.
The contract is set for May into June through June in case we should need it. We fully anticipate that this part of market will probably need to transition before June or in June. So this gives us the option of continuing as we are through the month of June. So we don't have to come back to you and say, okay, we need to do this another month. However, with that said, if we transition back into a regular market, that would change things back.
Becky and everyone. So why not? Because the recommendation is just for May. So if
because then if indeed that this would happen to go longer, we would have to come back to you in May and ask for another addendum. So what we did was just plan for it to be up until, you know, it could go through June or as long as needed.
So it would be better to be in two different times, like if it's required for June, do the same, Becky, or because my suggestion was to include June if it's if we anticipate that we might come back in June with the same recommendation. No?
We can do it however you would like us to do it. If you would like us to do it 1 month at a time, we can certainly do that.
No, I mean the language on the recommendation, it doesn't specify 2 months. The language says May, and based on the letter, the email,
I think the contract extends it through June if needed. I can change the recommendation. Our recommendation would be through May and possibly June as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do we want to say as needed in there as an adjustment?
As a friendly amendment, Becky?
I'm fine with that if that makes sense to do. Yes, we can say as needed.
Les, what's your?
I'm okay as long as the people who run it are okay.
Okay, so sounds like that would be a good adjustment to make there. All right. Yes, sorry.
Why don't we just consider that a change to the text that was presented so we don't have to mess up a motion on this? Is that okay with you, Israel?
Yeah, right. So it's just friendly change of the language, or actually that would be inclusion of a language, but with the recommendation or the suggestion if needed.
Okay, so this is on the record right now, so we've got some background on it.
Okay. All right. And Les, can you make the motion on this one then, please?
Sure, and I'll make it as it stands now, if that's all right. I move approval of the fee additions to the 2020 price schedule period.
I second.
All right. Any public comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Motion carried. Thank you,
you.
Becky, for popping in from your beach vacation.
I'm going back to the beach now. Thank you.
And then on the reports, we have Paula to tell us about the Bicentennial Gateway designs that we.
Yes, so this part of the agenda, we have a couple of presentations to show you, and here are Kevin and Kevin right on cue. Thanks for sticking with us, but I know they were doing other things too while our meeting was going on. So just briefly, I just want to give you a little bit of background. We have Kevin Osborne and Kevin Sweetgrass, who are on Sweetland, who are on this call. And we have been working under contract with REA since the middle of last year, I believe, when we started to look at 4 locations for the Gateway, Bicentennial Gateway projects. And as you know, we went at the end of 2018 and got approval for bicentennial bonds. And that kickstarted this project. So we are pleased to welcome back Kevin and Kevin again. They were here in December of 2019 to show you the first round of conceptual designs. They also hosted a public input session following the meeting that night and have taken some feedback online as well. So they're here this evening to present the designs and to give us some background. And there's still a lot of tweaking to do, but I think it's really exciting what they have to share with us. So I'm going to turn the mic over to, it looks like Kevin Osborne's going to go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here to talk to you about the latest evolution of the gateways. As Paula mentioned, this is a refinement to some of the conceptual designs that we presented earlier this year to the board. And it's pretty much, I think, near the end of what we would call conceptual design. Obviously, depending on your comments and thoughts, there might be some minor, hopefully only minor refinements beyond this, but this will bring us to the close of the conceptual design stage. I should mention too that in addition to REA, our team member of RLR Associates has assisted in preparing these ideas for you. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Kevin Sweetland to walk us through the latest conceptual designs, and then I'll listen in and help answer or respond to any questions or comments you may have.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm going to try to run through this quickly. I know it's already, I think, 6 o'clock, and so I will try to make this as brief as I can, while giving you guys as much information as you need. So let's see, can I flip the slides on my end, or am I going to have to ask whoever's controlling on that end to do that?
I believe you're controlling it, Kevin. Why don't you give it a try? There you go.
Okay. Oh. Okay, great. So we're going to run quickly through the design inspiration, and then we're talking about the North Gateway, West Gateway, and the design for the Arlington Head Bridge. So at the beginning of this, we were thinking about Bloomington, the identity of the city. what makes it a special place. From the beginning, we have this idea of Bloomington as an incredibly beautiful place in terms of its natural environment. So the kind of founding myth for the town, at least for European settlers, was they showed up and they were marked on the Haven of Blooms, which became the city's namesake. That same idea is still alive today. The current iteration is the Tree City. We have a population in Bloomington that is extremely thankful for the amount of trees and the vast wealth of natural resources Bloomington benefits from, and there's a strong interest in conserving this and building on it in the future. The dramatic landscapes in Bloomington are, an excellent opportunity for different kinds of recreation that makes Bloomington stand out from most places in Indiana. As a person living in central Indiana, I can definitely tell you that hills aren't the normal landscape in Indiana. So this part of Bloomington is extremely special, and we want to highlight that in these designs. Limestone and different industrial practices in Bloomington have made their impact on the landscape for certain. This kind of image is something you'll see in Bloomington, different refuse piles left over from quarries and other industrial practices. And here we can see images of nature coming back and being resilient as nature tends to be, which I think is just a really great image, especially when thinking about Bloomington, the resiliency and the regeneration of nature. Forest management, obviously a hot topic in Bloomington, extremely important, big part of the current zeitgeist of the city. And we also want to focus and highlight the unique culture of Bloomington, ideas of being inclusive and encouraging diversity and expression. We also have IU and other great institutions that are part of the landscape that makes up Bloomington. So with that, we'll jump into the gateway designs. We'll begin here on the north side of town with the North Gateway. This is the site. Dave was talking about this earlier when talking about the sidewalk improvements. We'll talk a little bit about that and kind of identify what that is so you can have a little bit more context for that. So here's our site on the north side of town. In the foreground here is the State Road 46 bypass. So we're looking just above the 46 and Walnut Street intersection, looking south towards town, towards Miller Showers Park. This is that existing site. Pretty simple. It's basically just a grassy island, a few existing pear trees up front here, which are invasive and we plan to remove. The site is completely bounded by roads on all sides, Walnut Street and College, on the east and west sides. Moving forward, we're going to change this grassy island into a unique and special entrance to the city. I'm going to go ahead and flip to this bird's eye view, which is going to help, I think, most of us understand what we're talking about. The sidewalk Dave was talking about earlier is this stretch here. If you can see my cursor, this sidewalk behind the trees. We see an opportunity to construct that prior to the rest of this gateway construction and be able to basically do that work as part of the other development project. So with that, I'll jump into the more interesting things here. The beginning of this gateway sequence will be a Bloomington sign, a limestone block sign with a relief of the word Bloomington carved into it. This will begin the sequence. Behind that, we'll have a little plaza with what we're calling the Bloom Pavilion, which garners its inspiration from a very famous pavilion in southern Indiana, this pavilion in New Harmony, designed by Philip Johnson. We felt like this sort of organic shape that was reminiscent of a bloom was a really great image for the city of Bloomington. And the materials for this would be a more contemporary material set, something similar to what the Genie Gang and the Studio Gang used at the Lincoln Park Pavilion in Chicago. Behind this, we would have a ribbon of different rooms that would have these dramatic bloom displays every year in the springtime. We're calling it the Rainbow of Blooms, these little rooms that you can sit at and look from the pavilion down to the existing red, blonde, black, and olive sculpture at the opposite end. Going back a slide, these different seating areas, these little limestone ribbons that stretch between the existing sculpture and the new pavilion would have these, what we're calling conversation stones, which are small reliefs of bits of text, perhaps quotes and other things from famous authors, thinkers, perhaps different resources from the city of Bloomington and other institutions in town. Way of connecting visitors and residents to those resources and to those people and those thoughts that are so important to the culture in Bloomington. At night, this pavilion would be internally lit. The transparent nature of these petals would allow them to capture light and hold that light in a really interesting way. This would become a beacon for the city of Bloomington, something that would be interesting to look at as you approach the city, but also really a dramatic piece. If you're in Miller Showers Park at the southern end where you have the overlook, this piece would become a signature element for the town, something you would recognize when you think of Bloomington. Might be something that you remember. The West Gateway, obviously on the west side of town. We're here at Bloomfield Road near Twin Lakes Sports Park. There's an existing bike path here. You can see that here in plan, that bike path is just an asphalt path. We see an opportunity to nestle a gateway element into the hillside at Twin Lakes Sports Park and extend a new sidewalk to make this not only a vehicular experience. As you travel down Bloomfield Road, you'll see this gateway, but you'll also be able to experience it if you're using this bike path or if you're at Twin Lakes Sports Park, and you will be able to reach this by foot and by bike. Here's an image of that from the bird's eye perspective. You can see we're building, I'm gonna go through this piece by piece, actually. Let's talk about first the sign. It's programmable, it's internally lit. So this thing can be lit up at night. The letters, each individual letter is lit from inside, and the light color is changeable and programmable. So there's a lot of interesting opportunities for this sign that we'll go through in just a moment. Behind that, we will use different understory trees, red buds, dogwoods, other native Indiana understory trees to form the backdrop to this gateway sign. In front of that, we'll have a space carved out of the limestone for pedestrians and other users to get out in front of the sign, perhaps take their photo in front of the sign as they're entering and leaving Bloomington. And then around that gateway, we would have native plantings, different wildflowers and other things that would make this feel like a very natural Indiana environment. Here's an image from within that gateway. If you're in that space we've carved out of the limestone outcropping for people, we took this image of the gateway just to highlight this conversation stone element. In this particular example, we're highlighting Plath Profiles, which is an online journal published by Indiana University, which is a great portal to learning about different literary authors, different thinkers in Bloomington and around the state. So just kind of highlighting the intent of that piece. And that piece could be lit at night, so the experiences last longer than just the daytime hours. So going back to the sign and its flexibility and its programmability, we took cues from a lot of different signs like this around the country and around the world. One notable example is an example in Toronto. This sign, like the Toronto sign, would be internally lit and being able to change depending on what events are happening in town, what the theme of the day may be. In this particular example, obviously we're showing perhaps a home game at IU. We're lighting it up with the cream and crimson. If we have festivals like Pride Fest, we can light it up in correspondence with that. And then there are also opportunities to do things that reference pop culture, creative modifications to the sign to make these experiences memorable and exciting. So That I'll move into the Arlington Ped Bridge. The Arlington Ped Bridge spans the bypass just west of Walnut Street. Here it is from above, Gorley Pike on the south and Stone Lake Drive on the north, and Arlington Heights on the tree up here, just off screen. Our vision is to, and plan to add a grove of trees along the bypass all the way up to Walnut Street to really mark the entrance to the town with what we see as one of its biggest defining elements, namely the trees. So, and then we would connect this bridge, which is pretty disconnected today, to the existing bike paths that start just east of Walnut Street, using 2 shared use paths on the north and south side of 46. And elevation is really where this gets interesting. Our vision for this bridge is to turn it into what we call the Tree City Ped Bridge. It would feature a simple salutation, "Welcome to the Tree City," and a treetop mosaic, which would be rendered in these roof. Sorry, my dog is in the room with me, and apparently he sees the squirrel. The mosaic would be rendered with these glass sequins, which would attach themselves to the existing or perhaps a new chain link containment structure that is on the bridge, similar to a pedestrian bridge in Pittsburgh, which you can see here on the left side. These sequins would be lit at night and have this really incredible glowing effect in the evening hours. The letters, excuse me, I'm going to let my dog out. Well, actually, I'm almost done, so I'll do this. So the salutation would be standoff lettering attached to the Core 10 steel at the that forms the structure of the bridge, something very similar to what we see here on the left side of the image of the page. And those are the 3 gateways, and that's where we are at this point in conceptual design. Paula, do you want to open it up for questions or comments?
Sure. Thank you. Very, very impressive. We'll open it up for questions and comments, and at least for Israel, I know this is new. Kathleen and Les, this was something that was presented along these lines in December with some public feedback and some tweaking and additions and that. So I'd be happy to open it up.
Well, I think it just looks amazing. I mean, I remember what we saw in December, but it's incredible. I mean, I'm already picturing all the Instagram photos are going to be hashtagged there in front of that sign that can change with that just, all of them really look incredible. The way they work with the historical themes and the art themes and nature, and just really, really looking forward to seeing them.
So, yeah, no, that's so great. I join the admiration for these 3 gateways. So I wonder, so Paula, you once told me there is no possibility for the one in the east and one in the south.
We identified 4 to start the project. A 4th one is on private property. And because where the designs were going with the 3 that were presented tonight, and 2 of them, the Miller Showers and the one by Twin Lake Sports Park, are on property that we own and that Parks is responsible for. That's why we have focused in on these 3 only at this time.
I'll jump in now. I'm amazed since the last round of this. There's a whole new vitality and dynamism that's reflected in these designs. I think that the light factors carry it off. That's the kind of thing that just says Bloomington all over it. In that it's creative, it's loud. I mean, it strikes you. It's not subtle, and that's this town. It's not subtle, and it'll tell you what it thinks. I think that by varying the themes around, just again screams diversity in this town, that we have many different thoughts about a whole lot of things, about how we artistically conceptualize something. And I think that's reflected in this. The Tree City thing, I think, is a nice way to kind of bring it all together. People particularly the fall, just flood down here during the football season to catch the trees. And it would be, I think, negligent if we didn't push that. There's only one little criticism that strikes me, and that's the bloom at Miller Showers. The top points of that bloom just cry to be pitched out a little bit so that the notion of a bloom would be even more emphasized. If somebody's not very intellectually imaginative or experienced, they'd think, what's a 1980s design doing in the entrance to Bloomington? But and that's quite honestly, I can go back there and look at it and see that. But you just pitch those points out about 7 degrees, and all of a sudden it would be kaboom. But the programmable lighting is exciting to me. I thought the light totem was a heck of an idea, and that might be the kind of thing to do the fourth site with, but the light thing is where it's at now. And the only concern I'd have would be, David, this is for you, maintenance of it, and the derelict characters that we have around this place that tend to want to mess up good things. But I expect that can be handled, and replacement parts could be available, and et cetera, but overall, I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have some other questions. So for the 3 places, so there will be also plans for the flag, and also is there any thought about a plaque stating, like the moment this was built? The other question is, at the beginning, I was thinking about highlighting IN in Bloomington, indicating that we are the Bloomington in Indiana, right? But then when you presented the other, I think that was the second one, with the one by Twin Lakes, with the different colors. So the slide presented full colors of the letter. I was wondering, for example, for different months, the heritage with different countries, different in Bloomington, people from different Hispanic countries, if for those letters there is a possibility to have colors, 3 colors in the same letter. So in that way, you can have a flag from one country during that month. Let's say about the Colombian flag, let's say about so during September and October, when the City Hall celebrates the Hispanic Heritage Month, it could be also be presented in these gateways.
I think anything is possible. It would be a design detail that we would need to work through, and how we structure that, the letters themselves and the lights within the letters. But yeah, I think anything is possible.
So one letter can have different colors.
I think we could figure that out. Yeah.
Right. And the other thing, the areas would be just, you were mentioning, Kevin, about taking pictures or just hanging around. So is there any thought about, or maybe you discussed this in December, and this might be redundant, but is there any possibility to stay and have like a table just to look around and everything, or is just sitting in not eating area?
There isn't specific site furnishings like tables and chairs or picnic tables currently in our drawings, but the stone outcroppings and everything else create a lot of sort of spontaneous and improvised seating areas. So there are plenty of places you could perch and set up a picnic or those kinds of things. Not quite so precisely designed as as a piece of furniture, but definitely usable. In terms of for the North Gateway by Miller Showers Park, there's a little strip of lawn that runs along the east side of the Rainbow of Blooms, where people are, it's kind of my conception that would be a place you could set up a blanket and have a picnic in that environment. It's kind of right in the center of the Green Island, so you're a little bit further away from the road. It's probably the best place for that kind of activity in that gateway. And then we did have waste receptacles in several of the gateways as well, where we had a specific place for pedestrians or cyclists to interact with the gateway. So you had that piece there as well.
So the decision. Yeah,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Aaron. Another thought, you were talking about the letters on the one by the sports complex. Those letters appear, I think, could be more dynamic. You saw a glimpse of the Toronto heavy-duty edged block kind of letters that they're powerful. You saw Columbus play around with letters. The love symbol that's up in the art museum. More play on letters. Quite honestly, that reminded me of a deli sign in Chicago with neon around it. I don't mean to be that rough on it, but it was sort of unremarkable. Oh well, that's enough for that.
Okay, well, they certainly have presented us with a beautiful rendering, something to be really, really excited about. So we will, we have a small group of city staff who have been working with REA on this. So we will proceed with the next steps and certainly keep you all on board and updated on the progress of these. And as you saw tonight, we're getting a little bit of an early start on the Miller Showers one due to the development, and we just didn't want to hold up our gateway project for 2 years. So thrilled that we found that compromise with that sidewalk. So we'll certainly keep you all updated on the progress.
Thank you, Kevin and Kevin.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. Great job.
I have one last question, Paula.
Yes.
And actually for Kevin and Kevin as well. So when we are talking about the design, the colors, when we're talking about a basketball game, any special event in the city, so the decision for choosing the design, the colors, would be something coming from Parks and Recreation. There would be any possibility for the community to send also suggestions or recommendations for an event that maybe we don't know, or that maybe the city should highlight if this is a special event, or is just the decision of a small group, or the community will be involved in this decision about designing and using colors and.
Well, we started this process last year and did go through a public comment period back in December both in person and then we had online. It was up. We could certainly talk to REA and our team about that and next steps. So we'll certainly entertain that and let you know. And if there's that opportunity, certainly we would be interested in giving that opportunity to the community.
Kevin, I just had a recollection from a few years ago that might play in this. IU put a very bright sign up at the 10th and the bypass, and it just lasted about a year until it was pulled down because it was A, too bright, and too distracting to the people driving there. And I think there was even some increase in accident rates there. I just throw that out there to be a little bit of a filter that whatever you do is not so spectacular that people are going to drive off the road.
Good point. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I don't know how you gauge that, but as far as I'm concerned, well, I'd love it that spectacular, but we did have a sign come down because it was bright and spectacular.
Yeah, I think it will be a fine balance between, being artistic and innovative and creative and approachable by pedestrians and bicyclists, but also not being distracting for the vehicular traveling public. So those are all considerations that we will spend a lot of time on it moving forward with more detailed design.
Do we get a field trip to Venice? I couldn't resist your backdrop there.
Yeah, someday.
I'll go.
We'll all get to go back there.
Beats Arkansas.
All right. Well, thank you
Thank
again.
you.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And is Julie Ramey still hanging
She
on?
is still, I just want to check with board members, make sure you're okay to hang on. Julie has patiently been hanging out, and I think we moved this agenda item to this month even. She was ready to go last month. So if you can spare a little bit more time, Julie would like to take you through this project.
Not to be denied. Julie should get her shot.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Julie Ramey, City of Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department, and it's my pleasure to share with you just really briefly the project that we came up with to brand our entire multi-use trail system. So you may have recognized RLR Associates that was involved with the Gateway project that you just saw was our contractor. You signed or approved rather the signature of a contract with RLR Associates last fall. The principal of RLR Associates, Rod Reed, and his colleague Noel Fliss came down to Bloomington. We did a bike trail or a bike tour of the Beeline Trail, the Clear Creek Trail, saw the Jackson Creek Trail and the Cascades Park Trail to come up with a system of consistent branding for that whole trail system. Our system for branding multi-use trails has been a bit hodgepodge because of the rate at which they came online. The development of the Clear Creek Trail was first, predates my time with the department in the late 90s and very early 2000s. The Jackson Creek Trail followed, of course, the Beeline Trail, a monumental project. And as trails came online, we came up with logos, we came up with signage and branding for all of those trails. Noel and Rod took all of our trails together with their tour and research about Bloomington, came up with an identity that we could use to consistently brand the city trail system, but it yet not overcome the need for our standard traffic signs. So the package that I will show you is going to be used to identify signs at road crossings and along the trails, but is not going to replace all of the standard traffic signs that are required by law, and of course for safety, especially in places like downtown where the Beeline Trail makes many street crossings. So the system that we came up with is this, it's what Dave refers to as our lollipop signs. Each of the trails is going to have its own unique color but it's the same shape, so that we can have some economy of scale when it comes to producing signs. We'll have lots of sign blanks in the terms of these round shapes that we can then apply whatever graphic is needed. The Beeline Trail logo we considered sacred. It was designed in a big kind of separate project. There's a diamond element throughout the trail. You, of course, will recognize the diamond bridge, the diamond incorporated in all of the market kiosks, the bike racks. So we kept the Beeline Trail element, didn't mess with it too much, but replaced the other, we kept the swoosh, adjusted the colors so that we could have a consistent branding. So wherever you go in the city, Bloomington Parks and Recreation will have a similar look for their trail to make us recognizable as an entire trail system, that this is part of the entire trail system, which of course our long-term plans call for joining a lot of these trails together. There's room for future expansion. So we have these design guidelines for when we create new trails, we develop new connectors that we can expand this branding package to include some new trails, new color schemes, and also primary and secondary trail identifications. So things like identifiers for trails that are more, trail sections rather, that are more remote. If you're hiking on the Clear Creek Trail down south, or the expanded eventual expansion of the Jackson Creek Trail, and you have maybe a medical emergency, or you need your need to get some emergency services on the way. Jess Klein with our department, the Health and Wellness Coordinator, has helped us connect with emergency services, the police and fire departments in Bloomington, to come up with a trail locator system, so that you'll see I'm on the Jackson Creek Trail, and I'm near post 72D, and that way emergency services will quickly and easily be able to find someone on the trail. So the primary and secondary IDs will be trail, things like mile markers, things like directional signs where the trail splits or joins another trail, just a way to consistently brand our trails and make them more user-friendly by all of the thousands of people that we know use our trails every year. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you about our new trail branding system and design package.
Julie, yeah, thank you for the presentation, and this is amazing as well, right? So we are going to have great things, and I'm eager to see that in the future. Just with the logos, you're saying that each one has a different color or different design, but I could see two that they were the same. I don't know if you can show the slide with the different designs.
Julie, I think it works. You're good.
Let's try this.
So yeah, I like all the design. How about the Jackson Creek and the D-Link?
The color difference on the screen is very subtle. The Jackson Creek has a lot more blue. The B-Link is intended to be more of a teal. And the reason that we did allow that close of a color is because the trails do not connect and aren't near each other. So we think it'll still work.
Okay, now I see the difference. I see that there is right, I was maybe far from the screen, but now I can see with the zoom the difference. Yeah,
the colors were in part chosen based on the availability of reflective graphics available in the sign making industry. So as those colors come and go, we may have an even greater palette to choose from.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. This was once discussed when I was in the Hispanic, the Commission on Hispanic and Latino Affairs, about having signs in different, not just in Spanish, but in different languages in some of the trails. We know that we are a multicultural, multilingual city, And I wonder if there is any kind of thought about putting not one sign for one language, but one sign with multiple languages about welcoming people to to enjoy the trails, to keep and use the trails the best way without garbage and everything. I don't know if there is any idea about using also multiple languages along the different trails that we have.
You'll be happy to hear that we are exploring those options, most recently with the farmers market, where we're including welcoming languages not only in English and Spanish, but also in Arabic, in Mandarin, and in Hindi.
Great.
So that's really our first venture into that many different types of languages. Of course, so we're always looking for assistance with making sure our translations are correct.
I can help.
Fantastic, thank you. But certainly expanding that into our trail system would be a great idea.
Okay, yeah, Julie, that's
Yeah, Julie, I personally, I would never have thought of the ID part, the kind of mile marker thing, but that makes so much sense. I mean, I've been on the Beeline Trail probably almost every day during the quarantine, and there's so many people. And certainly if someone had an emergency, yes, what would you say? I mean, someone else would have to look up and name a business or something, we're near here, but you're not always near anything. So that seems like a really, really, forward thinking.
Thank you.
I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. I just have a question for Julie. This virtual video, does it take can you pull that up?
I can. It's 1 minute and 47 seconds.
Okay, we really want to end this meeting by showing you, but thank you, by showing you, and it's a good lead in to give me the opportunity to really recognize all of the staff in our department who in the last 6 weeks have really turned things inside out, upside down, and responded to this pandemic period that we're in. And I can tell you from every division, what we do as a parks department has changed, but we hope that people don't notice too much on the outside, but we are still maintaining parks. The grass is getting mowed, the landscaping looks great, trees are being taken care of. And in turning and sort of reinventing ourselves in this time, we have a number of program staff who you've heard to this afternoon either had events canceled that they have spent so much time on preparing for, or events postponed. And in the meantime, they do what they do best, and that is to connect up together and work and are producing a series of virtual programming, which is taking off really across the country. But it's a way to keep what we do out in front of our community, to engage our community, and to do what we do in Parks and Recreation programming, but in a whole new way. So we wanted to take this opportunity to show you just one virtual program, and then Julie can also give you some background on the videographer that she worked with to brand our virtual programming videos.
Sure. So this is a very short video that we created to show farmers market customers how the whole brand new drive-through pickup of pre-ordered farmers market produce worked at Switchyard Park at the pavilion. Now, keep in mind that we know that the video's now, it's a week old and it's outdated because we're doing a different type of pickup, but we had wanted to make it. It got more than, in 3 days, it got more than 500 views on our social media pages. So we know that people are looking at our videos, and just to, I guess, I'm going to share my screen and sit back and enjoy the farmers market video, and that's not it. And let's see, so I need to go, There we go. All right, can you see it?
No.
Crumbs. All right, stand by. I'm almost there. All right, hang on. I'm almost there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, Julie.
Yeah. Amazing.
So we have all kinds of videos on our YouTube channel, Bloomington Parks and Recreation, and that is really loud. And the staff is making videos. Our Banneker staff, the natural resources staff especially, are cranking out all kinds of virtual programming every day. So check us out on YouTube to see more of our Parks and Recreation virtual programming.
Julie, are you guys getting on TikTok too?
We get a lot of inspiration from TikTok.
Okay, all right, okay, good. Well, thank you.
I see an NRPA program here.
Paula, do you have anything else to add, or
no, thank you.
Hours, or
no, I think
Daniel's
good.
first meeting?
Thank you all for participating in this format. It worked out really well. We got through a lot of business. Thank you. And just, continue to watch our webpage as we make decisions going forward. Everyone is very anxious about that, of course. We are also waiting for our summer guide to be delivered, and Julie had time before it went to print to stick a banner on that on the cover of the guide to let everyone know to please check our website for daily updates on programs and reschedules and all of that. And so far that's been working out real well. So thank you again for your time. Thanks to the community for continuing to support what we do, practice the physical distancing, and we're happy that we are able to provide that physical space for physical activity and mental health well-being for our community during this time. So that's all I have to say until we meet again. And I don't know if it's going to be this way or if we're going to be back, but we'll definitely keep you posted.
All right, thank you very much.
This worked.
Yeah,
and
it worked.
Congratulations.
Yes, it did. Thanks to Kim.
Congratulations to the staff for the amazing work you're doing through this thing. Amazing, including this meeting.
Yes.
Super good.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you to Andrew, too, for helping out so much.
Andrew and Julie and Kim, they were the brains behind this operation today.
Daniel, welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.